Good morning, everyone. Want to welcome you to our webinar introducing thriftly.io. My name is Oliver Nelson. Our webinar is going to be presented by Riaz Merchant, and he's going to take us through our new product, thriftly.io. Now we'll turn it over to Riaz.
Thanks, Oliver. Hello, everyone, and thanks for taking some time out from your busy schedule to be here with us today as we announce the launch of our latest offering, thriftly.io. And I'm really excited to bring this product to you and the wider Windows developer market. And I want to, before we go forward, I want to acknowledge the entire Mertech team for the tremendous work they've put in over the past couple of years in bringing this new product to the market. It's a complex product, has a lot of different pieces, and been very proud of the way our team has put all the effort into this and bringing this polished product to market. So today I'm going to share with you the reasons why we developed Thriftly, where we see the market heading, and how we can help our customers take advantage of the changes that's currently happening in the market. So I'm going to share a story with you. About a couple of years ago, I was at an API conference, and there were a lot of companies there, some with $20–30 million VC investment. And over a period of 2 days, as we started talking to people, a couple of things started becoming clear to me. One was that cloud was on everybody's mind, and this is not new. It's been on everybody's mind for a while. But the second surprising insight that I got out of this was that people were treating Windows as a legacy app system, as a legacy application platform. And this was somewhat of an eye-opener for me, because how can something that still garners billions of dollars in investment and ongoing development effort can be considered a legacy system? And this was something that I've wondered about, and I asked myself these couple of questions. I said, what if I were a new business and starting out, what applications would I use? And number two, if I were a commercial application developer, what kind of solution would I make? And starting with this, you all know that you all develop application because you were fulfilling a certain need in your domain, in your space, and your customers were demanding a certain kind of application 20–30 years ago, and that's how you started developing your application. So what I realized that if I were going to start a new business today, I would start off perhaps with Google Mail or maybe Office 365 and Google Apps. I would probably use Salesforce or some other tools like that for CRM. I would probably use MailChimp Constant Contact for email marketing. I would probably use QuickBooks Online or Xero for accounting. And I would use GoToMeeting like we are using right now for presenting and meeting, for presentations and meetings. And I would probably use some other tools that are all cloud-based. So as a business, I can actually get up and running fairly quickly with off-the-shelf products available in the cloud. I just go pay a subscription fee, the costs are defined, and literally in a couple of $100 a month, I could have a complete system working to support my business. If I were a commercial application developer, I would start off by thinking about the cloud and mobile, not a Windows-centric application. And I think that this is the same answer you would have, that if you were starting something now, if you were going to target just the Windows developer, is going to be a Windows users is going to be a no-go. So these two premises are true, and this is not something that is some big insight I've had. It's something that Microsoft is heading in this direction. And if you look at the direction that Microsoft is heading in the recent, say, 2–3 years, the new CEO, when he took over, he came up with this mantra that he has is called cloud first, mobile first. And what that means is that Microsoft itself is no longer tied to Windows as a platform. Microsoft itself is thinking cloud. And you could see this in their strategy. Over a period of past 2–3 years, they went from Azure being called Windows Azure to Microsoft Azure. Some of the biggest customers of Azure run actually Linux on Azure. Microsoft has added Ubuntu-based Bash shell that can run Linux software directly in Windows 10. And they've open sourced .NET and ASP.NET and put them in the hands of the developer community. And they've acquired Xamarin, which is an open source development platform for the mobile devices. And they are moving in the direction where they say, well, we don't care really where you develop your application as long as you run it on our Azure platform. This is where the Microsoft is heading. But Microsoft sees the future in the cloud, but they also understand that the corporate customers are not able to move that fast. Even though cloud is on their mind, they are not necessarily willing to just dump everything and restart all over again. That's not how it works. You know, DOS applications are still around. We know that. So what Microsoft and other leaders like Amazon and IBM and the big HPs of the world have realized that there will be a transition period where companies will need both. They will need to have a cloud strategy, and they will also have to maintain and support and grow, maybe in some cases, their existing Windows platform. But the new applications they are going to build, they want to have cloud as a part of their strategy. And that is why Microsoft and others are pushing. And if you go to Amazon, you will see how they handle hybrid cloud strategy. And they're talking about hybrid cloud solutions. And hybrid cloud is basically a combination of, say, a private cloud, which is on-premise collection of your servers, and a public cloud, which is Amazon, Azure, whatever you might use, and making them work seamlessly. And this will allow companies to keep the investment and they keep their infrastructure that they have built over the past 20, 30 years intact, and it allows them to take advantage of what cloud computing promises and use and build new applications around that. So there's going to be this transition period where you have on-premise, off-premise, and you have this hybrid cloud scenario. So the question this leads to is that most of you are application developers, and you have Windows-based solutions. What is your cloud strategy today? If Microsoft is thinking cloud, Microsoft is thinking not Windows. Where do Windows-based developers go from this point on? And how do you take advantage of the market where you will run into customers who have this demand where they say, well, we have Windows, but we have cloud, and we would kind of like a solution that works on the cloud preferably. If not, at least we would like to take advantage of the cloud in some way. And this is something that in talking to our developer partners over the past year or so, we've come across this scenario quite a few times. Everybody's reporting that their Windows sales is actually going down, and some of them are saying, hey, you know, like we didn't think about investing in this. We're too small. We didn't have the ability to go out and invest in a completely new solution, and we have this challenge where our customers do not want Windows solution. And again, keep in mind that running a Windows application in a cloud infrastructure is not a cloud solution for them. They want a proper cloud solution in a SaaS model, and there are inherent underlying message to saying that you're SaaS or cloud, and that is there is less headache for the companies to adopt your solution. They don't have to put up any infrastructure, and second, it means that it's cheaper than running and maintaining their own servers. So companies are forcing, where they have a choice, the choice they're making right now is that they will want a cloud-first solution, and if they don't have anything available, maybe they'll compromise and go with Windows. Now, again, I'm not saying that Windows is going to go away, because you cannot run Illustrator or AutoCAD and all those things in the cloud, but that's the direction where for most business applications are going to be cloud-first. So the challenge that comes to you and again to your customers is that you have these hundreds of thousands of desktop applications out there, and some of you may have thousands of sites where you're running your desktop application. How do you continue to support that and build around that, and then still devote resource on building something for the cloud for the future? And I know from experience in talking to a lot of developers that it's not always possible. Resources are precious, and it's very hard to divert development resources that go into maintaining and developing new existing systems and then investing something in the cloud. It just requires too much time and money, and a lot of people just are not able to do that. And this is where we think that we can help. This is where we think that we can latch on to the Microsoft strategy of this hybrid cloud solution, but that Microsoft and Amazons of the world are providing a hybrid cloud solution from a management perspective, and we are going to come in and provide a hybrid cloud solution, and our opportunity for you to provide a hybrid cloud solution from an application perspective. And that is really what Thriftly is all about. So from our point of view, Thriftly could be your first step in your cloud strategy, because Thriftly allows you to build a solution that works seamlessly between the desktop and a cloud application. And so you're able to build something called a hybrid cloud solution. And we think that this is a simple, low-cost way for you to go forward, where you can leverage the investment you've made in your existing application, and you can create new cloud solution that works seamlessly with your existing desktop application. So in short, Thriftly will allow you to build your cloud and mobile apps to access business logic and data deployed with your desktop app at remote sites without network configuration. So to enable a hybrid cloud solution, the cloud application needs to be able to call to your desktop application, access data and business logic from there, and vice versa. Now, all of this requires some kind of engineering. There's a lot of communications and complexities involved in protocols and transports, etc. And that's what Thriftly does, is that it hides all of that complexity from you and handles that for you. So you don't have to worry about it. All you worry about is how you're going to expose your business logic, how you're going to expose your data, and how you're going to consume the data in your new cloud app, and let us handle all the plumbing. So in short, that's what thriftly.io is all about. And I'm going to give you a view of how we see the things falling out. In a traditional desktop scenario, you will have a corporate network where you have an application server that's running your APIs, your application, and you have a need where the customers are asking that, hey, how can I provide access to my customers or my users access to this data from mobile, tablet, and browser. Now, if you're a corporate customer, it's very easy to do. If you have a network administrator on site, you will be able to provide a way for configure the network and provide access, and you will set up a web server and all of that stuff. And basically, the scenario would be that you will handle that directly, opening your ports and whatnot, and allowing access to that system and building a software that runs on your server. Thriftly takes a little bit of a different view. What Thriftly does is that it puts in a Thriftly server in your environment that allows you to expose business logic as APIs, and then it exposes those APIs through the Thriftly gateway that can now be called either directly from cloud and mobile application, or they can be called from another SaaS application and served to other customers. So this is the different part that we are introducing here, is that it's not about making an application call directly into a server. It's about creating this gateway that will allow you to access the business logic and the data securely from anywhere in the world and from on any device. And this, in a nutshell, is what thriftly.io is about. There are a lot of companies right now, a few companies right now working in the API space, and one of them, Apigi, was acquired by I think Google for 500 million, and there is a bunch of other companies, but all of these require you to write APIs in their own new development environment and in a different language. Our approach is different. We are saying that everybody is addressing the post-cloud migration challenges. You're already in the cloud and you're going to build APIs to access your APIs from your other cloud applications. We are addressing the problem where how do you move the 70-80% of the Windows business application out there still into the cloud easily and seamlessly, and in the short term offer our customers, who are mostly application developers, a way to generate new additional revenue. And that's the part that we find very interesting and exciting, where nobody's thinking and working in that space, but we think that there is a large opportunity for our partners to offer some kind of a hybrid solution where they can have a cloud strategy, build something now, give simple access to their customers through a mobile device, and then over a period of time, you can evolve and make your cloud application more sophisticated in an evolved way rather than just trying to make a big investment from the very onset. I'm going to give you a demo of what we mean by that. So when the diagram that I showed you, there is a demo on our website. So if you go to thriftly.io and click on the demo page, it's right here, you're going to see a pretty elaborate example that we have built to showcase all the powers of Thriftly. So one of the things is that Thriftly is targeted at Windows developers. That means that if you program in any .NET languages, whether it's C#, VB, C++, anything that supports .NET, or you're a Java developer, and in our market space, DataFlex developer, you'll be able to build those business logic that can be exposed through Thriftly. So in this demo, for example, you can pick a C# as your starting point, and you can click on Build API, and we have put a complete functional example there, where you can take a look at how the code looks in building an API in all these different languages, whether you go to VB, that's a VB example. If you go to Java, and you will see there's a Java example, right? So we actually give you and show you how you can build it. And by the way, this is available when you download and install our product. All these samples are available to you to start working with it. So let's say we pick a C# example. And one of the concept in here is that what we're talking about is a Thriftly gateway is a collection of servers running in the cloud throughout different regions in the world. So we have one in Texas, one in South America, one in Europe, and one in Singapore. These API samples, depending on where you pick, is actually going to pick up the API from that region, the server running in that region for the demo purposes. And you can choose and pick which protocol you want to use. And this is another part of building web application where you have to worry about protocol. And what we help customers focus on is just the functional interfaces, not worry about the protocol, because the same functional interface can now be exposed through multiple protocols. Any new protocol that comes in the future, we will just add support for that, and voila, your API or your functional interface will now be accessible to you. So if you play around with this a little bit, you will see that the API, how the code is written, and then you can actually test the API, and we have a testing framework for this API built in, where you can click on this and you can see what kind of data the API returns. So you are able to go and enter information. So for example, you can say I want to just get all the page size and correct information. You can send data, and you get the data back in the protocol you selected. So this is in JSON RPC mode. And if you had it in SOAP, you will see the data back. Why we build this? Well, when you're developing application for the SaaS model, typically you have a front-end developer that focuses primarily on the user experience. Canned APIs and functional APIs, yeah, you can build those, but if you want to attract new customers, you will have to have beautiful-looking application. That's a given, and you should be able to use commercially available talent out there, or on your own staff who can build you user experience for the market you're in. You cannot have the same user experience across all different types of industries. Some may require something different. Healthcare may have its own challenges, and you will have to build and customize your API, your front end based on that. So this API function allows you, this API testing tool allows you to give your API in the back end and expose it to the front end developer without having to communicate to them how the data is returned, how they should handle errors, how the API looks, etc., etc. So this is something that is needed for developing. We do this all the time in our business, in our practices, and we think that this is a very powerful tool to have. So once you do this, here's the other part, is that once the API is exposed and you build the API, and how do you consume it? This is the front end part, the UI, the user, the presentation layer. Nowadays, you have, of course, browser, So you have to support multiple browsers, or you will have Android and iOS devices or anything else that might come along the way. But mobile devices are high on people's list. And so we have provided example for you in 4 different languages where we talked about how you will consume this API in JavaScript, how you will consume this API in PHP, and how you will consume this API in Swift, which is Apple's new way of developing mobile application. Objective-C is out, Swift is in, is gaining tremendous momentum, and we have done a lot of work in there, and we have actually added support for Swift, and contributed to some other community-based systems. So we understand Swift very well, and so we put this whole playground here for you, where you can download this code and play around with this, and look at the code and see how you can get started on your mobile application. And same thing with Android. This is a Java sample. You can take a look at it, and this is all a working sample. And the idea behind all of this is I want to show you how you can use these as templates to start working on your system. So once you have built the API and you've tested the API, this is the consuming the API, and this raw data is basically showing how the data is returned in different formats. So if you're using SOAP, you will see that the data is returned in SOAP format, and it's coming from South America. Right now, this system is, I'm showing you data coming from Brazil. The example is running in Brazil. But if I switch to US, you will typically see a faster performance in there. So here you go. You'll see the JSON RPC mock. And if I switch to Thrift, I will get binary data, which of course is binary encoded. You can't see that. And this JavaScript example right now basically is this grid. So what we have done is that we have consumed an API written in C# that's running on a server in anywhere in the world. You can pick whichever you want, which is in USA or South America or Netherlands in Europe or Singapore. And you can select your protocol, and your data will come back to you in your simple web application. And that's really what the power of Thriftly is, that you can expose your code anywhere in the world. You can imagine that your application is running in different machines, different sites, anywhere in the world, and you're able to go to that machine. Of course, you have to architect your code that way, but you're able to access the API in that machine and pull data from there, or pull business logic from there, or save information there without having to do any network configuration. And that's really what the power of Thriftly is. It's not about just the programming aspect of it. It's the fact that you do not have to worry about all the plumbing work. You don't have to worry about the transport. You don't have to worry about the protocol. You don't have to worry about network configuration. We do all of that for you. So that's really where you will see the power of Thriftly. So so how would you, as a commercial application developer, take advantage of Thriftly? And the way we see it, you using it, is that let's say you have all your Windows application deployed on your different customer site, 1 to 500, 1 to 2, it doesn't matter. And what you will do is you will build your new cloud or SaaS application, and you will allow your customers access to their local data. So customer site 1, customer site 2, customer site 3, through your own cloud application, which you can charge for. And your customers can access their local data through their browser, tablet, or phone, or however way they want it, through the gateway, through the Thriftly gateway. Now, the customer is not going to see any of those things. The customers, users will see your cloud application, your SaaS application, but they will be getting the data coming in from their site, from their local site, because you, based on the customer ID and the information you're given, you'll be able to pick which customer site to go to and where to get the data and show to that user using the same application. So this solves a lot of those problems with multi-tenancy and things like that that you may not have time right now to address and will require major re-engineering of your application. But this simplifies and provides you a very fast way to start offering something to your customers, get your skin in the game, and say you have a cloud solution and this is what you can provide. And a lot of time the customers may just be fine. In fact, one of the things that we are seeing is that some larger customers do not really want their data off premise. They want it to be there, yet they want you to provide them a cloud solution. Now, if you have 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 sites, it's not possible for you to go and configure, install servers and web servers and whatnot on each of those sites. It becomes very difficult for a smaller company. So Thriftly will do that work for you. Yes, it's going to be faster if you did directly access in some of those things, but that's one of the things that we've been focusing on in providing these protocols, that we want to make sure that it's as fast as it can be so that the user experience continues to be great. So this is the way we see most ISVs, or at least this is the way we are proposing that ISVs look at their system, where they can leverage what's distributed across their install base and provide a cloud solution on a monthly subscription basis where it allows access to their customers. Now, this is a starting point. But as you go along, you can start adding more capabilities to your cloud solution, and eventually you can make it more feature-rich depending on what you want to do. If somebody wants to keep the data on premise, that's fine, because they will, your application is a hybrid cloud solution. It will work in both environments. So, one of the things that I want to show you is a demo we built, and that will be available for developers, and it's at demo.mertech.com, and you can enter MDS and MDS 123, and you can pick a selection. So basically, this is a demo of a portal that we built quickly. It's a simple portal, and basically it shows you how to log in, authenticate, and let's say you pick a region. For us, we picked a different region. In your case, it could be different customer sites. And let's say you pick a site in site 1 or customer 1, and all right. All right. So I was able to log in to a South American site, and I was able to pull data from that. So the authentication was that a user ID, password, and a location identifies a unique server, which I can log into and get data from there. And I can go in, and this could be a very simple website, a portal that you can build and provide access to your customers. And this gives you the idea of how you can build your own portal solution today with Thriftly and offer this to your customers, and in the process charge something for it, right? And this is not just you don't have to do it just through a website. You can actually build a mobile application that will do the same thing. And you are now in the game. You're now in the cloud game. You can buy your time. You can have a defensive posture where you can say, if somebody's trying to eat your lunch today because they have a cheaper solution, it's cloud-based, you have a way of getting your customers, satisfying your customers' needs in their way. So how do you get started in Thriftly? So if you go to our website, now Thriftly is completely driven, is completely a SaaS product itself. You can go in, you can create your account, and you will log in to the Thriftly portal. This is where all developers will go initially. You can log in now, and you can go in and take a look at that, and you can log into the site. So I logged into my account. When you create an account, you're going to get an email. You confirm the email. You provide some basic information. We are only looking for first name, last name, company name, etc. And you just log in, and you will go inside the Thriftly portal. And there's only two icons there that you'll see. One is build application, one is deploy your application. And we walk you through all the process of what you need to do to build the application. All the documentation that we have is online. So you can go and read the documentation, and you can look at all your stuff and see how this will all work, how to set up some of the items in Thriftly. You can download the developer portion of Thriftly, which has all the classes for different languages. It also has the demo example, and it gives you everything you need to get started in the language of your choosing. So you will be able to download your product from here, and by clicking on this, you'll be able to get your trial license. So you just enter your key into the developer license, and you're done, and you're ready to go. Once you are ready to deploy your product, you will go to deploy. There is a deployment guide where you can talk about how you handle deploying at your customer side. Now, some of these places you will see evolution, and part of this is that thriftly.io is based on a previous incarnation of this product called Evolution, where it was just a server. And so there are still some things we are working through, so you might see references to that. However, in this documentation, you have everything you need to get started in deploying at your customer side. So, and when you want to get a trial for your customer, you will be able to get a trial license right now. Since we are in beta, I think these are 3 or 6 month licenses, where you'll be able to get a trial license, install it, and see the deployment working at your customer side. And if you want support, we have built a forum. Where is that? We have the support forum where you will be able to access and answer and have questions, and Oliver has already posted a few articles there. We understand that this is not a simple product in many ways, but we are trying to hide the complexity and take care of all the complexity and make it a simple product, but we feel that there's going to be a lot more help that's needed for developers to get started. And our target market is not just our immediate customer base of 1,000, 1,500 developers or ISVs that we partner with, but it's more than that. We want this to go out to all Java developers, all .NET developers, and help them understand how they could build these things quickly and deploy in the environment. So a lot of education is going to be needed, so we're going to keep publishing new articles here. We have blog articles, we'll be creating new videos, and we'll have multiple webinars that follow this one. So we built. What are the considerations for the developers? Now we build this whole Thriftly.io infrastructure, understanding the needs of the application developers. Corporate developers, yeah, they could use it, but they have only one site. They can do whatever they want in their site. There's nobody stopping that. Application developers have specific challenges. They have multiple sites. They have to go deploy this easily, and we are promising zero configuration. So, but one of the first item is that it must be fast. So we have put in a lot of work in trying to make sure that whichever protocol you use is highly optimized and it's fast, so that the footprint of Thriftly server itself is very efficient. The other thing is that must-have is that if you as a developer are going to use what we are offering, you will want it to be secure, right? And that's what we're promising. We use secure SSH tunnel between the gateway and your application, and will provide you with that security that's needed. This is a kind of industry standard out there, and we handle all of that for you. You don't have to worry about that security part. The third part is that it must be reliable and available. So one of the things is that we have gone out of our way to build redundancies, not only for running it on one specific cloud platform, but one of the items that we're working on is having a failover capability where it even spans across multiple infrastructures. So not just if, for example, this one right now is running on Azure, we could run it on Amazon as well, And we could run it on Linux or any other Linux-based system because our backend is all in open source technology. But one of the things that you'd be able to do is that, let's say you're trying to make a call to your API and it's not available because, say, something happened to Amazon or something happened to Amazon in your region, we would be able to route that through Azure or something else. And this is something that's a very complicated thing they're building, and it's not available yet, but it will be available by the time we are in release mode. That we want to make sure that it's always available, always reliable, and the developers are able to call and get access to that anytime. The other thing is that it must be flexible. So when you're serving APIs and business logic, you have these different protocols to deal with, and you have to make sure that both server and the client talk the same protocol. We hide all of that. We say, just don't worry about it. Just write your function call in the language you know, and we'll handle all the protocol. You just pick which protocol you want to serve it as, and we'll handle all that part for you. So this flexibility allows developers to focus mostly on the code, not worry about the plumbing part of building these systems. And the other part is that we want to be able to give you the capability to deploy these as a part of your server installation, as a part of your application installation, without requiring configuration. This part we are working on right now, where you will be able to send an installer to your customer with your new update, fire up, Thriftly will be able to, the Thriftly server will come up, configure itself to whatever configuration you provided, and it will launch itself and connect to our gateways. And that's one of the key things, is that zero configuration. You do not want to deal with network administration staff or viruses and this and that. When you run the Thriftly server connects to our gateway. So when you're calling out of the network, that's always allowed, and we create that tunnel for you to talk to your APIs or your business logic or your data through the Thriftly gateway. And that's one of the most important things that we're focused on right now. So what are the product features? Something you can certainly read on our website more of the details, but Thriftly is an API server. It has a gateway. It is an API testing tool. It supports JSON, SOAP, binary, and REST protocol. So REST is another thing that we're working on, and we'll have it by the time we release the product. And it supports multiple transport. You can call those functions either through HTTP, as in a JSON or other applications, or you can call directly using TCP. We allow both of those. And right now we support Java, any .NET languages, as I mentioned, DataFlex, and we also are looking into VB and Delphi. And part of the reason is that there are a lot of legacy applications in VB and Delphi, and those developers are also looking for a way to move into the cloud space. So we hope to have support in where we can support for those other languages as well. So one of the things that I want to share with you as a final points is what are our intentions, what are our goals for the developers. And all right. So what are the long-term view that we see in the market and what we want you guys to think about? One of the things that there's a lot of different aspects of Thriftly, and there are a lot of concepts floating around, and I didn't want to go too much into that because it'll dilute the message of what I'm trying to talk about in terms of the Thriftly gateway and what it can do for you in building your SaaS strategy. But digital transformation is a term that you might want to look up right now, is driving the API economy. So API economy, digital transformation is something that is just starting in 2016. This is something that didn't exist before. APIs is what is driving the Internet of Things, the connected business, the digital transformation where businesses talk from one to the other. And there's a lot of reports out there, from Gartner and IBM and other companies which talk about digital transformation. This is what the companies are thinking about. So I want you to think about those things. And application developers need to think of their application as API platforms. So you don't think of your application, or even when you create a SaaS application, you just create a monolithic SaaS application. The future for you is your application is a platform, and APIs enable that for you to become a platform. When you are a platform, you can participate in ecosystems of other companies, or you can build your own ecosystem. I'll give you an example. One of our customers that we work with, and we built their SaaS application for them, they created a complete. This is a SaaS application, running in the cloud, and it uses another SaaS application. It's an accounting package seamlessly. So we integrated those two because the other accounting package is built as a platform, and we were able to become a part of their economy and part of their application. We were able to use this. Then we got certified in their marketplace, and we became a part of their marketplace. That's the ecosystem where all of a sudden anybody looking for this specific SaaS application came to that marketplace. They were able to see, hey, this one is available. I use this application. This supports it. Let's go try to use it. This is the future of how applications are being sold or will be sold to the wider market, is that you have to create ecosystems. You have to think platforms. You have to think APIs. Thriftly allows you to build those API platforms in the language you know. So we think that .NET and Java covers 70 or 80%, maybe more than that, of Windows developers market. So that .NET includes C#, VB.NET, C++, whatever you might be using. And what we are saying that you can start thinking about APIs and platforms and digital transformation. Thriftly will help you get there. And you have to, when you're making this long-term strategy for your application, think platform. Think platforms in the way that other people are able to consume your code and integrate them into their system. And at the same time, you're able to consume other people's code and consume and build that into your system, and you create your own ecosystem. And Thriftly lets you focus on building the functional APIs, and it handles the rest for you. So when you think about building some of these items, these APIs and platform and digital can get very overwhelming. And what we are saying is, don't worry about it. All you saw in the example, and if you go and look at our website, the example only shows you writing the code in the language you know. And what we are doing is hiding all the complexity of making it work in that ecosystem, making it into a platform, making it into a SaaS product, whatever you want to do with it. We're hiding all of that from you. We'll handle that for you. And this is what Thriftly is all about. So anyway, with that, I'd like to end my presentation. If you have any questions, gladly handle that. If you need support, what I encourage you to do is go to our website, thriftly.io, sign up for the product, just play around with it, take a look at it, and then, if you have a question or anything, we are here to answer that. You can post on the forum, going through our website, and we'll be able to help you with any of your needs. So with that, I'd like to end. Any question?
We have a question here that says, for corporate customers that are reluctant to open their firewalls to the outside world, they would only have to open a tunnel to thriftly.io, and that can be restricted to a specific IP address, reducing their exposure to security breach because all app communication from mobile talks to thriftly.io, putting the security burden on thriftly.io server firewalls, correct?
Right. And that's really the gist of it, right? You don't have to worry about security part. We'll handle it. Oliver, you can add to this if you want to. But really, that's really dead on. That's what exactly Thriftly will do for you. You do not have to worry about opening firewalls or anything else. The communication between the Thriftly gateway and the Thriftly server is through the secure shell, SSH, and we handle all the security part.
Yeah, and the idea there, if you think about it, especially for an ISV, it's very common that you would have lots at various customer installations. You would have lots of different firewalls. You're going to have some low-end units that are maybe just off-the-shelf systems, and then other customers may have something else entirely. And so it's very difficult to have personnel that can configure all of these, and then you have to do each one individually. You have to deal with making sure that machine has a static IP, all of these various issues. And this secure tunnel, because it publishes your API at a fixed endpoint that you decide on, it gets rid of all of those steps for you. So all of those issues disappear.
Yeah. See, there's another question.
Yeah, can you show a Dataflex API demo example?
Yeah. So, so Nick, you can go to our website and take a look at this, the demo. Click on the demo link, and then you'll be able to get into this demo page. And in this programming language, you select Dataflex, and you will see the code sample there that we have built that shows how you can, basically this is just extracting data and displaying it in this UI demo. But this one is coming from Dataflex at this point. And in the back end, it's using our Dataflex driver, SQL Server driver for Dataflex. We have written a simple SQL code for that. You can see all the the calls going in. And this will be available if you want to use it in your application. If you download it, this will be available. And this is how the data would look. Now, as far as the UI entry example, so UI entry example is two parts. One is the UI part, and one is the database, the business logic and the database part. And in Dataflex, if you're talking about the order entry example, it's all monolithic, right? Dataflex, the Windows Dataflex is monolithic. If you put the database on a different server, yeah, it becomes client server. But in the case where you want to use it in the API world, you'll have to separate out your UI and think differently about your business logic. The business logic will just be, I'll take this functional interface, I'll take these parameters, and I'll give you this output. And then you can build the UI in any way you want. And you will build the UI basically, this is what a JavaScript code looks like for building something like this. So depending on how you want to build it, whether you might want to build a mobile application, you might want to build just a web application running on Linux, for example, right? You can build a front end completely on open source stack, and yet still call your Windows application logic in the back end, and you're good to go with that. So take a look at this. If you have any more questions specific to your environment, we can certainly answer that for you.
Yeah, and one of the things to remember is that with the developer installation, you get a sample application that is basically this same sample application. You get the API, so it shows how to do adding a location, editing a location. All of the API code is there for that in Dataflex, in C#, and in Java as well. So it kind of shows you how it would be done, exposing the same API in 3 different languages, showing the same interface. So it can be really useful to kind of look at both of them and see how it's done differently between them even.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So anyway, given we will be putting out more information by way of new training videos. We plan to make 3 5-minute videos walking you through every step of the way of how you could build your APIs, and then you can create a platform. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize is that this is not like a wizard-driven kind of a solution. It allows you to, it will require you to think about how you want to architect your system or part of your system. You don't have to do everything. One of the things you can still run your Windows and desktop and whatever application you build the way you built it. But you may have a need where you might want to have some integration with another ERP package, SAP or Oracle or whatever it is that may be in the environment that you're working with. This would provide you with a quick and easy way of handling some of those things. But if you're going to go into the future in treating your application as a platform, you will have to do some thinking about it and how you want to separate out the UI and the business logic part of it. That's the part that you'll have to invest some time on. But still, that is going to be much simpler than re-architecting something from ground up or working with something which is very simple and may not meet the needs of a SaaS model. Now, one of the things that I see people interchanging always is that cloud is cloud. You just put something in the cloud and it becomes cloud. I want you application developers to think about the fact that SaaS application has a very specific meaning. There are certain things involved associated with it: internationalization, global support, Unicode support, time support, multi-tenancy, all of those things, and security. So when you're saying that my application runs on a Windows instance on Amazon, and somehow it's going to become a cloud, people are not buying it. And I've seen this. I've had this conversation with our developers who are giving me this feedback that, hey, they don't even want this, and that they want a true SaaS solution that runs across multiple devices, and it's easy to manage, and it's low cost. That's the other part of it. So think about how you would organize architect your system. I think that most of you have very good expertise in your business domain, and you'll be able to separate out the business logic much easily, and you'll be able to build the UI in the front end much more cheaply than you think. And the majority of the part where handling the communication will handle that for you. So any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll end our session today. Like I said, we're available. You can send email to support@thriftly.io, contact us through many channels that you have, and we'll be happy to help you through any question you might have. And if you need to see more demos and examples, you can let us know. Right now we have 4. I think we're going to we plan to add a few more as we go down the road. But basically, this is to showcase how your developers is going to use will use Thriftly. Anyway, thanks for your time. I really appreciate you all coming here today, and I hope that you will find this product interesting and compelling for you to give it a try. We're trying to make it as simple as possible, but one of the things is that this is one of the ways for you to get into the future, start your SaaS offering today, and I think you'll be able to get something going fairly quickly with Thriftly. With that, I end. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Thanks.